Welcome back to another episode of Brad Parker TV. Thanks once again for joining. As always, if you could make sure you hit that like button if you do enjoy the video, and also if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button to get more content from me in future. A big week in the Premier League this week. A lot's been going on in terms of managers in particular. 2 seconds, the 5th manager to get sacked in the Premier League so far this season. We're only a quarter of the way through the season, and a quarter of the Premier League managers have already been sacked. Does that mean by the end of the season, all 20 will have been sacked? What's going on? Unbelievable stuff. There could be a couple more on the way out of the door as well. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer springs to mind, but it's probably unlikely that he is going to go the journey. Now, I want to talk about something a little bit different though. It's the international break. No Premier League football is going to happen for a couple of weeks now. So I wanted to explore, quarter of a way through the season, we want to talk about the Big Six, the traditional Big Six, because that is up for debate these days. Who is in the Big Six? Is it Leicester? Is it whoever? Arsenal and Tottenham, some people say that they don't deserve to be in there. But we're going to talk about the traditional Big Six. So that includes Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal and Tottenham. And what I want to explore today, midway through the season, is if these clubs could sign one player each, one player, who would that person be? Who would I sign if I was managing these clubs? Now, some of them were a little bit easier than others because it's evident at some clubs where they do need to strengthen particular positions. But then other clubs have an excellent starting 11, so it's probably more squad players that they would need. So some of the clubs were a little bit more tricky than others, like I say, but I just wanted to have a little play about with this and just explore some quite fun options and think about, if I was managing these teams, who would I want to buy? Now, it's got to be realistic. I'm not going to go in there and say Tottenham are going to sign Kylian Mbappe and Arsenal are going to sign Messi. That's not going to happen. So I wanted to be a little bit more realistic, but I did want to have some fun with it as well and just kind of explore some options there. So I am going to start with Manchester United. The reason I want to start with Manchester United is because this one is a little bit more of a no-brainer. We know where they need to strengthen on the pitch, and that is the number 6 role, a defensive midfielder. This has been the ongoing debate with Manchester United for about, I would say, well, the entirety of Ole's reign. So what's that, about 3 years? Manchester United are desperate for a world-class number 6, a world-class central defensive midfield player who can sit in front of that back four and can also take control of the game and drive their team forward. There was a few options for this one, but I decided to stay in the Premier League. This player, this season in particular, has really started to make this position his own. He's really having the season of his life. The next big thing for him is to move to one of these big clubs. I think this person is the perfect fit for Manchester United, and I'm talking about Declan Rice. A lot of people are still big critics of Declan Rice. A lot of people don't like him, but I think, like I say, this season he's showed an excellent level of maturity. He's really calmed down. He really takes games by the scruff of the neck. His stats this season are ridiculous, and at such a young age, he's captain in his club at the minute, let's not forget as well. He's captain in West Ham, who are having one of their best seasons in the Premier League so far as well. So I just think Declan Rice is that perfect fit. Why does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer continue to play McTominay and Fred? That's because they're the only defensive, really they're the only defensive midfielders at the club, and it's too risky just to play one of them. So he has to play two. You can't just rely on Fred, or you can't just rely on McTominay to sit in that holding role and allow those two other central midfield players to push on and attack. So I think with a player like Declan Rice, you would get that stability in midfield. He would take control of the game. He would cut those passing lines, and it just means that those two players in front of him, whether that be Bruno and Pogba, or if it's someone like Van de Beek or Lingard, whoever, it means that they have the ability to go forward and join the attack. And that is what Manchester United are desperate for right now, and that's why Manchester United need to sign him now. Next up, we're going to talk about the local rivals of the club we've just spoke about. We're going to talk about Manchester City now. Manchester City have unbelievable depth in their squad. Like, it's unreal. But they are lacking depth in one position, and you know what I'm going to say. They need a striker. They tried desperately in the summer to sign Harry Kane for 100 million, but Tottenham wanted 120, 130, 140, and it was just too much for Tottenham to pay. It wasn't worth the investment for them. So they spent £100 million on Jack Grealish in the summer. Are they really going to want to go out and spend another 100, 120 million on a player this soon after spending that on Jack Grealish? I really don't think so. So if I was Pep Guardiola and I was looking for a quick fix right now to that striker role, because let's face it, they do need one. Manchester City are wasting chances up front. Yes, they are scoring a lot of goals, but they are wasting a hell of a lot of goals. They don't have any natural goal scorers, natural finishers at the club. You could argue that Gabriel Jesus is a quality striker, but is he really that level what Manchester City need? I'm not quite sure. So I had a little explore on this one, a little bit play about who do I think would be a great signing for Manchester City. And I saw an article this week, and it was Sean Wright-Phillips, ex-Manchester City and ex-Chelsea player, of course. And he was talking about if he could sign a striker in January for Manchester City, who would he sign? And I actually agree with him. He said Alex Lacazette from Arsenal. Now, some of you might laugh at that one, but if you're Pep Guardiola and all you need is a finisher, a poacher, someone who is going to score goals, because let's face it, Manchester City create so many chances, they get so many balls into the box, and it's just needing a finisher, someone to tap it in. Why not get someone for a cut price of 30 million, let's say, that they would have to pay Arsenal, 25, 30, 35 million that they would have to pay. Alex Lacazette has scored goals in the Premier League. He's proven that if you set him up and drop those balls into the box for him, he'll put them in the back of the net. He just doesn't quite get that same service from Arsenal that he would at Manchester City. Now, there's a lot of strikers who could probably fit into this Manchester City side because they just need to be a poacher. They just need to finish the ball in the back of the net. That's all that Manchester City need right now because it's on a plate for the strikers. But I think that's a great shout. I think if Manchester City need to sign someone, if they were going to sign them in January, I would go for Alex Lacazette. Let's talk about Liverpool next. So, Liverpool was a bit more of a tricky one because on paper, if you look at Liverpool's side, we all know that they have a fantastic starting 11 and it's quite hard to strengthen a squad like that. And this season in particular, we're now looking at Liverpool saying actually they don't just have a starting 11, they have some depth in that squad as well. So then I started thinking about, right, what positions could they probably do with backfilling? And you might not agree with this one, but they probably could do with another winger or two. If you think about it, if Salah or Mane get injured, who have they got to fill in there? And I think they probably need a good alternative, a good backup to Mane and Salah. Mane does get injured quite a lot. And I don't really think there's anybody on the bench who could come on and make the same impact that them two do. So what would be the next best thing? And I think a great signing for Liverpool, I'm going to go with the Leeds winger, Rafinha. I think Rafinha is going to be, he already is, a quality player, but I really do think that he could take that next step up and join one of the big boys. I think with the right coaching, and Jurgen Klopp is the perfect coach for that he could be a world beater. And let's face it, in the next couple of seasons, one of Mane or Salah will leave Liverpool. Rafinha would be a perfect backup option for them. He's a perfect long-term plan for Liverpool as well, because once one of those front two leave, then he could slot easily into that role. And I think he needs to be at a bigger club playing Champions League football. So my shout for Liverpool is, if I was going to sign someone to help build up their squad and give them a bit more depth, it would be a winger, and it would be Rafinha from Leeds. Okay, 3 more to go. I'm going to go to London this time, obviously, because there's only 3 London clubs left in it. But I'm going to go to Chelsea. I'm going to start with Chelsea. Now, Chelsea was a bit more of a difficult one because Chelsea, league leaders at the minute, playing some great football, have a great coach, great starting 11, and a little bit of squad depth there. So this one was a little bit more difficult, and I had to think, was there anyone that I could think of that would improve that Chelsea starting 11, or would I buy them a squad player? I'm going to go with the starting 11. I think there's a player that could improve that Chelsea squad. Now, it will not happen in January, but this could be something to look at in the summer next year. You're going to laugh at this one. Paul Pogba. Right, chill out before you get yourself too excited. Paul Pogba is, no matter what you say, He is an excellent football player. Paul Pogba's problem is he relies on quality players being around him, which he doesn't have at Manchester United. He has some quality players, let's not get that twisted. He relies on a quality defensive midfielder behind him so that he, or two, so that he can go and express himself and have free roam. He can go on the left, the right, down the centre, he can go up front if he wants to. Where's he going to get that? Chelsea. Jorginho behind him and N'Golo Kante. We've seen Paul Pogba play with N'Golo Kante at France. Every time he plays with him, he's man of the match. Paul Pogba is man of the match every time he plays with Kante. And why is that? Because Kante is there to do the dirty work for him. Paul Pogba doesn't want to do that. He's about tricks, he's about flair, he's about running past people, he's about doing a nice silky pass over the top or through ball. He doesn't want to be doing all that hard work. And at Chelsea, he would have Jorginho and Kante behind him to do that work for him. Now, you're going to laugh at that one. You're not going to agree with it. I already know that. But Paul Pogba's contract situation is a really interesting one because his contracts are due to expire in the summer. So if they were to sell him in January, it would be for a cut price. I don't think anyone's going to sign him in January because they're just going to wait until the summer. I don't think he's going to sign a new contract with Manchester United. So clubs are going to be circling around Paul Pogba very soon, trying to turn his head. And why not Chelsea? Chelsea wouldn't have to pay anything for him. They've got the money there to pay his wages. One of the only clubs that really do have that. Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea, PSG. Probably the only clubs that would afford to pay Paul Pogba's wages. So why not? It would be a really interesting one. I would love to see that. I would love to see Paul Pogba go to Chelsea and absolutely tear it up. That would just cripple the Man United fans. It would be just total heartache for them. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I'm just saying that would be a really interesting one if Paul Pogba did make the switch from Manchester down to London and join Chelsea on a free in the summer next year. That would be something to tune in for. So I've got the two North London clubs left. I've got Arsenal and Spurs. Again, a little bit more tricky, but I'm going to start with Arsenal this time. Now, whereabouts on the field could Arsenal do with improving? At the beginning of the season, we would have said the whole 11, the entire starting 11, just take them out and start again. Because, look, it was ridiculous. After 3 games, they lost the first 3 games of the season. We were talking about Arsenal being relegated. That's not going to happen. Arsenal are not going to get relegated. But Arteta has managed to turn that round, and actually they're now challenging. They're in 5th place. They're now challenging for a Champions League spot. The Arteta process is working. Trust the process. Where could they do with improving? I do think they probably do need a little bit more stability in the middle of the park. So I'm going to go with a central midfielder again. I think who Arsenal should sign is someone like Toni Kroos from Real Madrid. Another player whose contract is expiring, and another player who Real Madrid, who are in some financial difficulties, will probably want to offload because he does have some massive wages. Toni Kroos, multiple times Champions League winner, multiple times winning the La Liga, in UEFA Team of the Season multiple times. Toni Kroos is one of the best central midfielders in the world. Do I think Arsenal could sign him? Why not? Why can't Arsenal sign Toni Kroos? If they manage this season to finish in a Champions League spot, which is looking very likely, why wouldn't Toni Kroos pick Arsenal as his destination? Is anyone else going to sign him? Possibly. But I'm just exploring where, if I was Arsenal manager, where would I want to strengthen on the pitch? And it would definitely be in the middle of the park. And I think signing someone with the experience that Toni Kroos has at Real Madrid, I think it's a no-brainer. I think Arsenal should sign Kroos. And finally, that brings me on to the North London rivals, Tottenham Hotspur. Antonio Conte has now taken over the squad. Let's not kid ourselves, this is going to be a big challenge for Antonio Conte, and I think he is underestimating how big of a challenge this is. I don't think he realises how bad Tottenham are right now. I would love to see the likes of Dele Alli come back to the form that he showed a few, 3 or 4 seasons ago. He was going to be the next wonder kid. He was going to be the next big thing in football. Now, there are some players in there that are just kind of dead wood at Tottenham Hotspur right now, and if I was the boss, I would just be getting rid of them and cutting ties straight away, cashing in. The one that springs to mind is at the back. I think Tottenham need another centre-back. I know they invested in the summer in Christian Romero. They have the likes of Davinson Sanchez on the bench. They also have Eric Dyer. Eric Dyer, for me, gets nowhere near my squad. Like, he would not be starting if I was the Tottenham manager. Eric Dyer is simply not good enough if they want a challenge for the Champions League. Davinson Sanchez, a very injury-prone player, also looks quite dodgy on the ball. Which centre-back could they potentially get? Realistically, if Tottenham were going to sign someone, why wouldn't they sign someone like Tyrone Mings? Tyrone Mings is a solid centre-back. Like, he's not a world-class centre-back, I wouldn't say that. But I think where Tottenham are right now, I don't think that they will be signing a world-class centre-back. I think they need to sign a centre-back that is better than what they have and enough to get them where they want to be in 3 or 4 seasons, where Conte would want to be challenging for the Premier League title. So Tyrone Mings is someone who will help solidify the back four, help them push on for Europe this season and next season, and then in a couple of seasons' time, that's when they would look to replace Tyrone Mings and then bring in a better centre-back to help them challenge for the league. Will it happen? It could do. Why not? I mean, Tottenham have the funds there to sign Tyrone Mings. Would Tyrone Mings want to leave Aston Villa? Why not? Aston Villa are right down at the bottom of the league at the minute. They're going to be in a relegation battle. Tyrone Mings, an England international. And I just think with the players that are available right now who Tottenham could potentially sign, who I could actually see if someone was going to leave their club and sign for a bigger club, I think it would be someone like Tyrone Mings. Why not? I really do think that he could be a really good signing for Tottenham Hotspur. But is he the type of player that Antonio Conte will sign? We'll see in January. But my pick for Tottenham Hotspur is Tyrone Mings. And that's it, guys. If I was the manager of the Big Six and I was allowed to sign one player to help improve their squad, these are the players that I would pick. Manchester United was Declan Rice. Manchester City was Lacazette. Liverpool was Rafinha. Chelsea was Paul Pogba. Arsenal was Toni Kroos. And Tottenham Hotspur was Tyrone Mings. Guys, let me know what you thought of the video. Let me know if you agree with my picks in the comments box below. And if not, who do you think the teams should sign? If you're allowed to sign one player for these clubs, a realistic one, who would it be? As always, please make sure you do give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And if you could also subscribe to the channel so you get more content from me in future, that would be excellent. I'll see you next time. This has been Brad Parker TV.